This week's episode is sponsored by the 2025 Buffalo Stampede Festival by Single Track Events. Find your epic and run with nature. Sign up at www.buffalostampede.au. Welcome to episode number 381 of the Inside Running Podcast. It's going to be a big episode because a lot's happened in the last 7 days of worldwide and Australian distance running, and I'm looking forward to talking to my two co-hosts about it this week. So much news, so many results, good listener question, moose on the loose, some whispers. It's all going to happen in episode number 381. Welcome to my co-host, the king of Canberra distance running and the most articulate man in Australian running media, Bradley Croker. How are you this week?
Good, thanks, Brady. I'm not sure I'm either of those things, but hopefully I can do a decent job tonight of articulating how I feel about some of these records that have been getting broken.
I've lost count of how many we're going to talk about, but we've got them all written down in front of us. And I'm looking forward for you to help me make sense of it all, Croaks. I know you're a smart guy. You'll be able to make sense of all of it for us. My other co-host, just let me read my notes here. We got an email this week, Croaks, and it said, I'm reaching out to personally invite Julian Spence to an intimate gathering with Australia's most influential media voices to engage in meaningful discussions on the nation's most pressing issues. He will be involved in a panel discussion, unfiltered dialogue on defying Australia's future, the cost of living crisis, and energy solutions. Julian Spence, welcome to you for episode 381. Congratulations on that invitation that came in the inbox this week.
When is it,
well,
Bruce?
I don't think that was to me. I think that was based on your, I reckon, recent history of staying on the left side of things. I reckon it's probably you that they were looking forward to getting there.
I agree.
We had some good stuff in the inbox. I enjoyed that. You and Thorpe, wasn't it? He was the other one. The big dog on the list.
Ian Thorpe.
Yeah, Ian Thorpe was there. He was going to be on the panel as well.
Claudia Carvin.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was. Who is that?
An actress.
Okay. And Big Moose. Sydney in a couple of weeks.
How many people do you reckon was on the end of that email?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah.
Our inbox is good every week. We get some great stuff. We get some stuff that gives us a laugh as well. So thanks to those people that do write in across all the different platforms. How are you, Moose? How's Port Fairy?
Yeah, it was really good. Port Fairy was a windy city, windy town this last weekend. Made for some hard running. Some good results down there. Spectacular event. Really great town. They've just set it up so well. Kind of reminds me a little of Ballarat, how they've gone about doing it so professionally. Even though it's a smaller city event, it still has been put on with the professionalism of a big city event. You don't have an event company there. It's all volunteers that run it. However, they just do it at a really high level. And instead of having the money thrown at it, they've got the whole community thrown at it. So I think they had 150 people chipping in to help set up on the Saturday. That was the number. So it's just like the whole town gets behind it. But then they have 2,500 people across the races. So it's a big event for a tiny town.
Huge. We'll get to that a bit later with the results and stuff. But you were down there running company capacity, selling stuff. You set up a tent. What happens?
We were down there as a partner with New Balance, and the running company kind of go at it as a partnership to sponsor these things. So we were there last year just with ourselves, with On, and then this year New Balance stepped up and jumped in. And we went down Friday Arvo. We get there Saturday morning and set up for the bib pickup. We just have a stall there. We talk to people. A lot of people come over. Once you get chatting, you sort of answer their questions about the race and sell them some gels if because most of them don't have gels. Maybe chat to them about what they should be eating for the day. And then on the race morning, we get there super early, probably right around when bib pickup starts, and just see the event in its entirety, basically.
Is that the biggest seller, gels?
It is, yep, gels. I did all the numbers on what we sold today. Gels was by far the biggest.
Yeah, okay.
Then you've got it like some hats, socks, some headlamps. We sold a few pairs of shoes, New Balance shoes. We took down the race shoes. So a couple of people wore it in the race, a couple didn't. It was risky. Good. It was good value. Some races you go to and you don't fully enjoy it too much. I feel like it's more of a drainer. But this event, who is it that says battery drainers and battery chargers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not us, but I've heard someone say it before in an interview. Yeah,
the Bromley Lynch boys down Ballarat way, they're the first people to said it to me, and I'm like,
they still going?
No, I don't think so. But they're so accurate. Like, you run into some people who are battery drainers, and then you have some that'll charge your battery, and you come away feeling better. And down there's just a lot of battery chargers, so we enjoy it down there. Jimmy come down. Big Gussie's kid and Alana stayed at our house. Toby stayed there on the Saturday night. So it was a good fun time.
That's good. How's your body?
Yeah. Good. Body's good. Like hard working a stall 2 days straight. Setting up, just a lot of standing around, not really sitting, not really eating properly, drinking properly. I got absolutely fried both days. Like hairline's pulling back a bit. Not unlike the winner of the marathon, and just exposed to some fucking sun. And it is so sore. Like I was cooking the barbie before, and the heat from the barbecue was like stinging my forehead because of how sunburned it is.
Are you wearing a hat, Moose?
Nah, I didn't. So I just got a haircut the other day, and I actually was
pills too, Craig,
putting a bit of gel in there.
Yeah, any opportunity to show off his hair now.
It actually looks pretty good, Moose. Yeah. I know it's a podcast format, but we might have to put a photo of you up on the Instagram this week.
Yeah. I stopped taking them. So because another guy with even balder than me, Ben Moynihan, you remember him? Did a bit of running.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, how's your libido?" And after taking them. And I said, well, come to think of it, it's probably not as high as it used to be. He goes, yeah, those things reduce your libido. I'm like, oh, well, fuck that. I don't want that. I only got a few good years left in me.
Yeah,
I got to take advantage.
Anyway, your hair's back and now you can get the libido back.
Yeah, apparently it doesn't stay back, though.
Oh, okay.
Apparently we got to keep taking forever.
Yeah, keep buying the tablets.
Yeah, anyway, it did look pretty good, though, down there. But then I got sunburnt, so I think I just got to wear like sunscreen. That'll probably do it.
That would, I reckon. Croaks, how you going? How's your body? You're back. Some good stuff on Strava from you.
Like if you look at my Strava bars, like there's just this gradual uptick, I suppose. I'm certainly not running through. I wouldn't say my body's 100%, but I'm not running through any significant pain. So, did you want me to run through the week?
Yeah, I reckon. Well, you got any more life updates, Moose, before we move on to Croaks? Anything about run? Like, did you exercise at all? Bike ride?
I got back on the bike. I got back on the mountain bike, so I actually got the heart rate up properly a few times. That was really good. I felt like I was doing some endurance activity. Yeah, I got about it out 45 minutes to an hour before the back starts to get a bit too fatigued, and I've been doing Pilates every day. But I ran today. Today was my run back. Actually, I had to run last night because we got out of the pub and the bike, like my new bike, had a massive fucking nail in it, and the tyre was flat. And you're in Port Fairy, there's no taxis. So we're like 2K away from the house. So I had to go run back to the house to get the keys to the car. So that was my first run in pants and hiking shoes after the pub. And now I ran today because it felt fairly good after that. So it was a good little tester.
Have you seen it on Strava, Brady? His first run back?
No, was it on there?
Yeah. Dropping a few names, bit of a collab to get a few extra kudos.
This is why I don't like Strava. So it's like it just doesn't come up for me.
Yeah, it's not worth coming up.
No.
This one,
No,
this
there
will
it
be
is.
hidden.
I choose to follow you. Show me the people's runs who I choose to follow.
Yeah. Well, so I ran it and I pressed stop, and then about 3 seconds later, I got a notification. Someone commented on my run. I'm like, oh, they must have found a run from ages ago. Surely that's not up yet. And Kane Corns had already commented. So I changed the title because he'd already commented before I even got to look at it myself.
Okay. I thought, yeah, all right. That's okay. I thought, oh, here we go. He's just going to drop a name in the comments here and just for a bit extra attention.
It's pretty smart from you. It's not a bad strategy, that one. Like, I've done it once before because everyone who doesn't barrack for my footy team hates my footy team. So you do a workout, you get like 400 kudos, and then you upload a picture of like someone from Collingwood, and then you say like this post if you think the Pies are going to win the flag this year. And then you guys have already walked into this trap. Yeah, it's a good one.
So why would I want this? It says if Kane Corns comments on this, don't like his comment, please.
Yeah, but then
I'm not asking for more comments or likes.
People will like it though if you write that. Yeah. People will like his comment.
He's attached
77
himself.
people have liked his comment already.
Moose has attached himself to the biggest man in like AFL media at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
I love that for you.
He commented on mine, not the opposite. I don't think I even follow him. Might have to after this.
Have you seen how big he is now?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
He did a walk and talk the other day with his shirt off, and he's just buff.
I did
He'd
see
be able to
that.
fight. Anyway.
Talk about tactical moves. Like, bloke wasn't doing the shirts off, the selfie thoughts of the week when he was running. There'd always be a shirt on then.
Let's get back to running, because a lot of our Norwegian UK supporters be like, what the hell? Who is this person? Croaks, tell us some training. Back doing workouts.
Yeah, so Monday after work, got out around Yerribee Pond and all the bike paths. So a fairly flat run. I actually quite enjoyed this run. I had a little bit of heel discomfort maybe at the start, but I had been at work all day in shoes. But I wasn't listening to anything. 424s for 45 minutes. And then I think I said last week on the show that I was going to try and, do a few sessions to see how that felt. So around Tuesday lunchtime, I went and jumped on the treadmill. So just like easy 20-minute warm-up, 20-minute cool down on the treadmill. And then I just did 6 by 3 minutes with 1 minute rest. And I wore the Mizuno Rebellion Pro 2, and I reckon before this session I'd done maybe one session in them previously. And the reason I chose this shoe was the heel counter. Basically, you can fold it down. So I thought, well, that's perfect. And I found that shoe worked really well on the treadmill because the surface is so consistent. I could really notice when I was hitting the sweet spot and almost like focus on my form to hit that sweet spot. So, anyway, I did 6 by 3 minutes, 17K an hour, so like 330s. Heart rate was probably sitting in it was like mid to low 160s, which is about right. Perceived effort was fairly low, but I think heart rate was a little bit higher than it normally would be, just given like lack of fitness, but perceived effort was quite easy. Then Wednesday, got out in the afternoon after work. Had actually a really good day in shoes. So Chris from UFOS has been listening to the podcast, and he knew that I was having issues with standing in shoes all day. And so sent me a pair of these shoes, which basically like the UFOS, I suppose, sandal. It's in a shoe form, but it's got like a boot, like I guess a booty upper. So same sort of thing, like the heel counter just folds on itself. So I didn't really have any heel discomfort at work at all. Heel was a little bit niggly though on this run. So I did an hour, 429s, nothing too major, but it was, I don't know, every time now I sort of feel some pain while I'm running, it sort of frustrates me because I feel like I'm on the improve, but then when you have some pain, you're like, oh, I'm not out of the woods just yet. So that
tendons don't work like that.
Yeah, I know. And look, the positive about what I'm doing is every week I'm slowly increasing the mileage, and it's definitely not going backwards. So it's still trending in the right direction. So I took Thursday off, and then Friday I jumped back on the treadmill again. It was really, really muggy Friday. So I did 5 by 6 minutes at just only 16.5 k an hour. So that's like 3:38. Minute recovery. Heart rate was sort of, mid 160s. Didn't have any pain doing the session. Maybe by the end of the cool down, it was just a little bit niggly. And then Saturday, went out in the afternoon, 45 minutes, 4:22s. Felt fine, didn't have any pain. And then I wanted to increase my long run from the week before. So I sort of go, my long runs at the moment, I go out with a rough idea of what I want to run. But obviously, if I start to feel any sort of significant pain, I would stop. And I got through an hour 43, 4:18s, and I probably only had like maybe 5 minutes. 5 minutes of sort of feeling it after about 80 minutes. So that was fairly encouraging. So that was a week of 88.5 k. So it's going up every week. My long run's getting longer every week. I'm still just minimizing the hills, so I'm not doing much elevation at all. Like I did 455 meters over 88 k. And obviously my intensity is not super high at the moment. I'm just keeping everything fairly controlled, but just trying to build up the volume while, hopefully having the Achilles continue to improve.
Smart. You missing your group training, or you been going down there to coach?
Yeah, so last Tuesday I did the session during the day, and then I headed down to the track and basically just coached.
Yeah, because that is one thing. When you're injured, you're like, also your social life the interactions with people often gets impacted as well.
Yeah, so I haven't been doing the Sunday runs with anybody, just because I don't want to put them, like, in a way, I'm like, I don't know how long I'm running for, so I just prefer to just do my own thing, but I'm still rocking up to the sessions, coaching on the Tuesdays anyway, and I'll do the same tomorrow. I'll do another treadmill session and then go out to the track tomorrow, Arvo.
Good. 2 workouts this coming week?
Yes. No, I think I'll go 2 again, similar. I think I'll just do 3-minute reps tomorrow and 6-minute reps on Friday, all around that sort of threshold, like just load mid 160s max heart rate, which perceived effort doesn't feel super hard. Like when I'm fit, mid 160s, I'm actually working pretty hard, but because I've obviously lost a bit of conditioning, my heart rate gets a bit higher for the same effort. So perceived effort feels fine, but heart rate's just on the slightly higher side.
Good. Trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'll whip through this week, boys. You got a question for me, Moose?
The treadmills sounds like it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Just limit that hill.
Yeah, a couple of reasons. So when I was in that cycle before Christmas of like flaring up on a Tuesday, then it would sort of settle and I'd get through a treadmill session on the Friday. Like the treadmill sessions, even when I was having sort of more issues with the heel, the treadmill sessions were actually quite good for it, or like it didn't make it deteriorate. So I thought, well, it's a good way of, the best thing about the treadmill for me is I basically have no ego when I'm on the treadmill. It's like I basically set it at a pace that I know I should be running at, and I basically just keep the whole session there. Whereas you go outside, you do the first rep at 3:30, and then by the end of the session, you're on 3:15s. So, and I got fit a few years ago by doing a heap on the treadmill. I actually enjoy treadmill sessions.
Treadmill chat, you put it on 1 for the elevation?
No, I just keep mine's flat.
It was flat. Aren't you meant to put it on 1?
Oh, I don't think so. Like, I still reckon though my treadmill is perceived effort on the treadmill for me. Like I warm up at 5-minute Ks, and it doesn't feel like I'm absolutely like shuffling. Whereas I can't remember the last time I ran a 5-minute K outside. So I feel like if I'm running 3:30s on the treadmill, it's probably the equivalent of low to mid 3:20s outside for the same sort of perceived effort.
The reason they tell you to, no, well, not really, but going up to 1, they thought would be the same sort of, would be like the compromise for the lack of wind resistance.
Yeah.
So, you run on a treadie and you get no wind resistance as you run, and outdoors you do. So the idea would be that if you put it at 1%, you have the same sort of metabolic cost as if you were running outdoors. That's the reason.
But then you've got the extra stress of doing it on the treadmill because you actually don't have air to cool you down.
Well, yeah, you've got that, yeah. So that the mechanical and then physiological, I guess, differences. But I read somewhere actually that there was a fair bit more Achilles load running on a treadmill than running outdoors. Let me find that, okay?
Yeah, I haven't had too many. Yeah, I haven't had too many issues on the treadmill. Also, I find some treadmills when you have it on zero, you do actually feel like you're sort of running downhill a little bit. Whereas on my treadmill, when I have it on zero, I don't feel like I'm running down. Anyway, it's probably enough treadmill chat.
Nah, a lot of our listeners run on treadmills, Croaks. I think it's, I put mine on one, but it actually feels like I'm doing some hill work, which is probably good for me. But then if I'm like the last 5 minutes, I might drop it back down to 0.5, and then I'm like, oh, this feels like I'm going downhill. And if I was to go zero again, it'd feel like I'm flying.
Yeah. So I also need to limit any sort of I need to sort of limit my elevation at the moment, so I'm better off having it on zero.
Yeah. What?
Let me just go through this little thing. Where is it? Wow.
When it's on an incline of 1%, what would that be? Like, would that be 5 seconds a K? Or more or less?
Good question. Probably depends on the runner. Like your love of hills, you wouldn't even notice it. You just glide up the hill.
Just hardly touch the ground, mate. Hardly touch the ground.
Yeah. Where did I saw this? It just popped up a second ago, but I lost it. I'm pretty sure that what I just read was that it is a higher load placed on the Achilles on a treadmill than outdoor running.
I was worried that the Mizuno shoe might sort of load up my Achilles and calf a bit more because it's in that sort of aggressive position. But
the idea is less.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why they did it, because the idea was that the calf plays very little role, and that you essentially are pushing off something instead of having to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Remember we had the Mizuno dudes on,
the Guru,
and they their analogy was it was like a starting block all the time.
Yeah.
Like you're in a position of a starting block.
Good chat, fellas. Go through this week. I started the week Monday, 70 minutes, 4:38 pace, which is good for me on a Monday. That's 24 hours after 34K. So I'm like, anywhere in the 4:30s, that's good. 30 minutes on the
Why is it good? Why is it good if you're running faster or slower on a Monday?
Well, I don't look at the pace as I'm running, but usually I'm just like slow, active recovery day, wedged between like a long run and a workout. So I've got the brakes on. Like I'm cruising. So I'm used to seeing my cruising at like, I don't know, 4:45, 4:50s. And that doesn't worry me at all. So the fact that I can be cruising and it comes out in the 4:30s, I'm like, okay, it shows I'm recovering and covering the ground all right.
How much does your form, like when you're running like 4:45s, like how is your form different to when you're actually doing sessions? Like, because I've been trying to like slow myself down a little bit, and like I'm fully heel striking, I reckon, when I'm like running slow. I feel like I sink more at the hips, whereas when I'm doing sessions, I'm sort of up a bit more midfoot. My hips are taller. Do you notice a difference?
Oh, yeah. There's probably like 4 different stages of form that I hit throughout the week. So it would be like the faster stuff if I'm doing 400 meter reps or strides, then your kind of threshold work when you're fast but you can controlled. And then it's like that, like my long run pace at the moment's been around that 4:10, 4:15, where you feel like you're in sync and you can be out there for a long period of time. And then it's just like switched off, like it's plodding along. I still feel like it's pretty... Like, I still feel like I'm in sync and relaxing though. Like it's not, I'm not losing form.
Does it feel more of a shuffle though?
Yeah. Nah, I think anything over like 5 minute Ks for me feels like that. I know that sometimes when I'm cooling down, it's like that, like 5 minute, 5:10 pace. It's like, that feels like you're really just shuffling.
I reckon I'm noticing an age thing now with just my strength and stability through my hips. Like I find when I'm running slower, I feel real sloppy through my hips. Almost like I hit the ground and I'm just unbalanced.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so this one, I just looked at my heart rate too, like 127.
I love that Croaks doesn't know what it feels like to run 4:45.
Yeah.
He's like asking you to explain what a 4:45 feels like.
Pretty much feels exactly as a 4. It feels the same as a 4:50 or 4:25.
It's like the most foreign thing in the world for him.
I've got to try one this week, Croaks.
I'm running 5-minute Ks on the treadmill, Moose.
Well, you're not, are you? You're not.
I don't know. It feels good.
I'm with you. When I'm on the treadmill, I set it at 12 Ks an hour, 5-minute K pace, and I'm like, it feels like I'm running 4:40s outside.
Yeah.
I had the pace on 9.2 on my treadmill.
Oh yeah.
And this is the fastest treadmill in the world. So even when I did threshold, I would have it on. I would like try to link my watch up, and I'm running threshold at like 4:30s, according to the treadmill.
Yeah,
it's
right.
so fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday, boys, I want to get your thoughts on floating as well. I think this could be good for our listeners here. So I did a workout of 1K under threshold, 1K over threshold. I was working on 310s for the faster ones and 330s for the slower ones. I went 308, 331, 310, 330, 309, 327, 309, 325, 307, 315. Felt great on this workout, but which I think is good signs when you hit a workout where you're floating and you feel like you've got it under control and it's comfortable, because there's no hiding when you do workouts where you got to float. But boys, when you float or when you prescribe float workouts to your athletes, say for me I wanted to float at 3:30 for the kilometre, do you give yourself the first, I don't know, minute, 45 seconds to slow down, catch your breath, and maybe run at 4-minute K pace and then start working it and get it down to 3:30 average? Or do you tell your people to roll straight into 3:30 and keep it even? Or do you run the first minute like you continue the rep and have it at 3:20 and then chuck the brakes on a bit? Because you can kind of manipulate it a bit, this workout. And it's hard to actually nail. I think you should just keep it even if you can, but it's hard to actually get right.
Yeah, well, I think for most sessions, if you're prescribing a float, it means that the rep side of things shouldn't be that taxing. So you shouldn't be that cooked that you need to like throw the brakes on for the first half of the recovery or float and then pick it up to catch up. You should be able to just obviously, slow down, but then just keep moving at a pretty even pace for that whole float.
Yeah.
Because did you have lap pace showing?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it'd beep every 1K.
Yeah. So you might come off that. Let's say you come off the on and you're feeling it's like it's pretty hard work. You slow down to like 340 for the first 400 meters. And that means that in order to get to 330, you have to run 325s to 320s to drop that average down. And that's what you were doing?
So that's what I did in the first one. And then I was like, and actually it's a shit way to do it. And then I'm like, nah, I've got to, if anything, for the next 4 after that, I had to throw the brakes on. So I would look down.
That is not how you're supposed to do it.
Which way?
That's not the point. That the way that you did it, it defeats the purpose of it.
No, keeping it like rolling, you mean?
No, keeping the pace even is better than slowing down a lot and then running the second half of the float nearly at your rep pace.
I only did that after the first on. Yeah. And then it got to a stage where I'd look down and I'd be running like 320 pace, and I'm like, I need to relax a bit more in the second half of this K, which I think is actually a great sign of fitness. Like when I give these workouts to people, I often ask them like, yeah, it's cool you hit the splits, but how did the floats feel? Like if you were struggling to hit your floats, I'm like, maybe it was a bit too hot for the ons. But if you've got to chuck the anchor down for the floats, it means you kind of got some fitness there.
Yeah, I like those workouts.
They're good.
It's not like that's not that long. I would have thought you would do this workout longer than that.
Yeah, well, I was coming off. What was I? Oh, yeah, I think if I was moving this to a Wednesday, I would. But it's like, this is still, 48 hours after a 34K. I've got 11 weeks till the marathon at this stage. I'm like, prefer to be on the conservative conservative end this far out. And it kind of like come out at 10K in 32.57, so like 3:18 pace. That's what pace I've been doing like my 5-minute threshold efforts at. So I was like, this is good. I felt like I was covering it well.
On the MTC program, Brady, 2K reps this week?
Is that what? No,
2K reps, 1K
they do this
float?
for 20K, don't
Yeah, they do 20K, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
In marathon training, though, right?
Yeah.
Like
This is usually their
within
first
the
big workout, isn't it, of that MTC marathon block?
Yeah, they'll do 10 by 1K on 1K float. Then they'll go to 2K on, is it 1K float? And then 3K reps, 4K reps, 5K reps.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, this was like I woke up that morning and was like, wanted something to do that I haven't done in a while. 30 minutes that afternoon on the treadmill. I was watching Resball on Netflix, basketball movie. Do not recommend it. It was pretty corny, but passed the time pretty quick. Wednesday, medium long run. I worked Wednesday. We had the swim carnival on, so I was in at school, 20K at 4:16, so that felt pretty good. Thursday, 50 minutes, 4:26 pace, listening to Shoe Geeks Moose. You told me to cut something out, and then I was listening to it, and I got probably 30 minutes into my run and realised I hadn't cut fully what you wanted me to cut out. And at this stage, I'm like, oh, you're starting to go down a rabbit hole. And I'm like 30 minutes from my house, and I'm like, shit, I got to like fang it. So there's a K in there where I ran a 3:30 because I'm like, I got to get home and delete this off Patreon just in case it was something bad. And then you moved on, and I'm like, okay, I can switch back to 4:30 pace here. So that scared me a bit. 40 minutes on the treadmill.
You'll cut it though?
Yeah, I cut it just because it was like awkward listening.
Did you have your phone? Did you have your phone with you?
Nah. So I was listening to it on my little iPod thing. So yeah, literally in the middle of nowhere. And it's like you told me to cut something out, which I did, and then I didn't realise you then needed Wi-Fi dropped out again. And then you and Tom were like talking like you were off the record, and then I'm like, oh shit. Like, yeah. But anyway, you didn't say anything that bad, so it was okay. 40 minutes in the treadmill that afternoon. Friday, went back to the cricket pitch, boys. The old mode line that I spoke about last week. This week I did 2 sets of 10 laps. So I'm just going to call them 400 metres because it's got to be somewhere around there. Had 45 seconds between this time and then 2.5 minutes between the sets as I changed it into spikes for the last 10. Averaged 70 seconds, which was good. Probably made this more into when you do 2400s and you want it to be like rhythm and form, just a whole lot of 400s without like dipping into, I don't know, traditional speed work. I probably overcooked this one a bit too much. Like it, yeah. The week before I did 11 of them off a minute in 71, and this week I've done 20 of them off 45 seconds in 70, and just was working a bit too hard. In hindsight, I probably should have just checked the ego and backed it off a bit. But felt good at the time. 35 minutes on the treadmill that afternoon. Saturday, my legs were cooked, Croaks. 4:47s for 70 minutes. I had no pop at all. I was just shuffling on like spikes, maybe a bit too hard in the workout, really. Like I just had DOMs the day after.
Just looking here, how do you have a 191 cadence when you're running that pace? Like
what pace?
What was it?
The Saturday, 4:47.
4:47s. Like doesn't your cadence slow down a little bit when you're running a bit slower?
I don't know. How
small he is?
I don't know about this cadence thing. Because I'm so cooked, I'm just taking little steps, I think.
Don't you reckon that's fast, Moose? 191 when you're like...
It's a fast cadence, but he is a tiny, tiny person. Like
what was I hitting for the fast 400s then? They must have been.
Oh, you 220?
Yeah. If you ever try to run with him, it's not easy.
224?
224. I got
that is some turnover.
Roadrunner.
Can
proper
turn them
turnover.
It's about 215. You know, it pisses off Archie when he trains with me too, because like the first like 20 seconds of every rep, I'm just like, and then just like drop him, fanging it, and then it takes him a while to catch back up. Not a good person to train with. Just one run Saturday. Then Sunday, these are getting grim, boys. This was solo, 2.5 hours solo, just my iPod. 36K at 4:10 pace. Got 100.
You listen to?
Just music. Had a playlist on, just music for 2.5 hours. So
you love like telling everyone how much you read books. You love telling people
audio
that.
books.
Yeah,
I do.
I just got onto them.
I often do listen. I can't listen to it on a long run. On an easy run at 4:45 pace, I can. but not when I'm going 4:10 pace.
I don't know. I reckon if you get into it, you'll actually enjoy going out. It's like chill out time.
But I actually like my mind just wandering. I don't want to be like the music's like background music. I don't want to be focusing on a book. So
you do it as a bit of think tank.
Yeah. Come up with some ideas, solve all the problems of the world. Think about.
So Brady, I sense you're these long runs. I sense you're not. I don't know. You're not that up and about a marathon block. I'm sensing, because normally you going out and running 2.5 hours. You're like, oh yeah, I'm happy to do that. Whereas you're basically saying that these long runs are grim, and this is like at the start of a marathon block where mentally you should be like, okay, I'm ready for this.
Yeah. This changes with like 2 factors, Croaks: company and different locations. So when I have to drive to a long run, like if I go out to the Barmer Forest, I'd love that. If I went to Bendigo with the boys, would love that. Even on the hills down at Ali Pashley's farm, just like half an hour away, that's like the long run becomes an event then. These ones I'm just going from my house. And I'm like, Archie was out of town. And then when Archie's not there, you lose his dad as well, Anthony, who's good for a chat. So you're just like, yeah, it's just you're ticking them off. Boring, like that road I went on, it was 10K out and back, and then just did a bit more added on at the end. Yeah, it's not much fun.
No one to film him, Moose, when Archie's dad's away.
True.
There's no one else in the whole of your region that will run with you.
Well, you know who I started following on Strava today?
Matt
Bailey. He was living in Shepparton. Remember Matt Bailey? 4:01.
Do you remember Matt Bailey?
5K guy, yeah. He ran like 31.
Very good runner.
Yeah, he ran 30. He's back. You look at his IWF profile, it's just 10 years missing.
He went to Iona, I think.
Yeah.
Iona College, which was the same one that Ed Goddard went to.
Yeah. So I might link up with him even. That's like 45 minutes away. But yeah.
Might link up with him. You talk to him yet?
I just started following him on Strava. Might slide into his DMs on Strava and see if he wants to do a long run or something.
Oh, Strava DM. Let us know how that goes.
Wasn't that a big failure from Strava?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Just because you don't get them.
True. I got a few. I think I've got 3 over my time.
You can't get it on your computer, though.
You got to follow the people, don't you? Do you know who I got one off once? It was, I'm just opening up now. Yeah, I've got 3. I got one from you, Croaks, one from Crammers, and then Jess Stenson sent me through she can send through like your workouts. You know,
Brady, can you just rephrase that? You got one from me. Why did you get one from me? Because you contacted me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How do you get to it?
I've written 6 messages to you before you've even replied. How you going this morning, mate? Hot workout for me this morning. Just dial back the pace a bit. Still can't believe Lauren Ryan was one Zatopek with those moves on Saturday night. Hey, what a night of racing. Anyway, have a great day. And that's it. This is like a year ago.
I've got 2.
Who are yours from?
I've got one where I was just testing it out at some point, and I said hi to Ali, and she said, "You can't be busy if you have time for this shit." That was the conversation. And the next one, James Coleman has hit me up for that run. Like, it actually worked as it was intended. He said, "I've never slid into anyone's Strava DMs before. ...
Yeah. Anyway, that was fun. Week of 160. Actually, this is worth noting for people prepping for marathons. I have been trying to hit the high carbs. So I got 165 grams in, boys, which was pretty good. Felt full.
Yeah, that's a fair bit.
Felt full the whole way. Heart rate, the cool change come through. 136 Croaks. That's pretty good for 4:10 pace for 2.5 hours.
It's good. I think I was 140 on Sunday.
I think I only had 68 metres of elevation though, which is good to keep the heart rate down.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Let's thank some Patreon supporters, eh? Who you got, Croaks?
I've got Stephanie Richardson, who is from Dubbo, but unfortunately Strava is locked down. Have noticed that she has run the Dubbo Park Run quite a few times. The best time I could find was 26:12. Has also competed a couple of times at the Dubbo Stampede 5.3K event, is a PDHPE teacher at Dubbo College Senior Campus, and is the coordinator of the Talented Athlete Program. I believe she's also a Pilates mat and reformer teacher. So thanks for your support, Stephanie, and good work being a fellow PE teacher.
Good on you, Stephanie.
If there's one thing that teachers don't need more of, it's money. They get paid so much, and she's got this second job as a Pilates instructor. I don't know about that.
On the teaching wage, probably a side hustle most.
No, I hope
the
they're
family.
taxing her. She better get taxed heavy if she's taking more jobs and taking our government money. Put a bit back in, I reckon.
Providing a service.
Put a bit back in.
She doesn't just take it. She has to do
us
stuff.
Teachers, Moose, we earn every single dollar. We work for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Croaks. You work once a week, and then you don't do much at all.
Twice.
You set up the T-ball stand, and you give them the bat and ball, and say, "See you in 30 minutes."
No, I just actually read out what the normal teachers left for them to do. Off you go.
Yeah. What, you're a PE teacher?
No.
T-ball.
Yeah, but I often get like other subjects. Depends on which teachers are away.
But you don't have to do any teaching.
I'd just love for you to follow Croaks around one day, Moose. Just go to work with him. You'd go into the office, he'd get this sheet of paper which would say where his subjects are for the day. The kids would treat him like shit because he's a relief teacher. They'd change names and stuff on him, probably spitball him when he's writing stuff on the board. This guy is in the trenches.
No, they're good. They're good kids, actually. I don't have too many dramas.
Okay.
That's because they're all like way more than him and could easily beat him up.
So he just bows to him straight away, you reckon? No conflict.
Yeah. He just avoids it all. Just whatever they want, he'll let them do.
Who are you thanking, Julian?
I have Ben Stevens. He's from Ballarat. According to his World Ass profile, he's got some pretty handy PBs. 355 for 1500, 831 for 3K, 1446 for 5, 3011 at last year's Lakeside 10, 66.35 at the Goldie Half last year, and 224 at the 2023 Melbourne Marathon. I remember that race. I was there. He was part of that group with. Were you in that group too, Brady, in that race?
2023.
It was a decent
did
group
I pace
there.
2023?
I reckon they were on the 220 group. They're on the 220 group, maybe. But anyway, Ben, he's moving to Geelong soon because he studies at Deakin now. So he's going to be in the Surf Coast Track Club, no doubt. And he hasn't actually applied for membership yet, so we'll wait on that.
He'll be straight to the number one man because those PBs, off what he did this cross-country season, he's going to destroy all those PBs.
Better than Toby, you reckon?
Is he injured, Moose? There's not much on Strava lately.
So he worked at Aldi in Ballarat, and I believe he had a forklift incident, and it's like smashed his foot up, like mangled it, like multiple broken bones. So that's pretty disappointing. But he's going to be working at the running company in Geelong and Torquay, so he starts his little learning apprenticeship shortly. But this Patreon thing worries me. I hope he doesn't think he's going to get paid enough to afford that.
Our Patreon is very affordable, Moose. We want to encourage people to sign up.
This could be Christmas money for him, hopefully.
He won some medals, I feel, the last winter at XCR. He had a breakthrough season.
Yeah, no, he did actually. He was going real well. He was a standout. He's sort of a bit of a representative of Ballarat in that regard. Like the whole group got going, the whole team got going, and he was their main star. But yeah, this I think he had an injury before this, but as he was coming back, and then it's no good to get those type of injuries where it's not from your own dumb training mistakes. At least then you can blame yourself. But the actual workplace accident, that's no good. Actually, he's probably got a work cover payment. That's what's covering this Patreon.
At 10K, he out-sprinted me in that one, 30:11 at Lakeside. He put me to the sword with 100 metres to go. Cameron Bissett, I'm thanking him, from Devonport in Tasmania. He's run 19:47 at the Port Surreal Park Run. 41.52 at the 2022 Launceston 10K and 1:36 at the 2022 Melbourne Half Marathon. He's only had one run on Strava since last September. So Cameron, hopefully your Strava activity does not indicate that you're injured. And we hope you're going all good. And we thank you for your Patreon support as well. And every one of our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast. Got a big week of content coming up this week for the people at the extra elite level. Chriso and Toby coming on tomorrow night, boys. Usually it's only once a month for those boys, but they said today, hey, we both had big results over the weekend. Get us on the airways ASAP. They are both up and about. It's going to be uncut as well, talking about all these world records. Like, we might have to go a bit easy tonight on the public pipe, but the Patreon pipe, you're going to hear all the opinions this time tomorrow night with Toby, the bad boy Mende, and Chriso from Norway. Moose is bringing us a Shoe Geeks Patreon version soon.
Well, I got Caden lined up, actually.
Oh, do you?
We're just trying to lock in a time for later this week or next week.
Yep. Croaks is working on something big too. Be one of the biggest bits of audio if we can pull this off. Could be something that you listen to, you see a result in a few weeks and you go, you know what? That was documented in my ears before it happened. Can't give too much away yet there because he's still at the negotiating table. What else is happening? Shoe Geeks early. Something else, I reckon. Something else is coming this week. Paddy Stowe's at Saka this weekend, so he'll be next week. So keep your ears out if you want bonus content. Patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast. Running news, boys. Shout out to Axel Coffee, our official caffeine partner, making sure we're ready to hit the ground running, literally. Okay, so just strap in because we're going to talk about like heaps of world records, heaps of Australian records. It's going to get confusing. And because we've been doing this for the last 2 weeks, did I see somewhere 11 world records have been broken already this year? Anyway, there's going to be a lot of stats coming at you. We'll try to do our best to explain them. We'll start off with the indoor world records. So Jakob Ingebrigtsen, our friend over there in Norway, thanks to all our Norwegian listeners, second biggest region outside of Australia, he ran the 1,500 metre world record indoors on the way to breaking the mile world record indoors. It was 3:29.63 and 3:45.14. He beat Yared Nuguse's record, which he set the week before, by 1.5 seconds. He looks so good doing it too. Sat on the pacemaker. I do love that the wave lights are different colours. So it's like, this is what the pacer wants to go, but then it will change colours to where the actual world record is. And then as the pacer dropped, you could see him just move from like the world record to where the pacer's meant to be and then goes in front of those as well. He's just so good to watch. Like 3:45 for a mile is absolutely insane. I did love the Instagram post as well where he tagged in Nuguse afterwards and just apologised. A bit cheeky, but not like arrogant cheeky. And that was good that Nuguse wrote back as well. So that was the big one, boys, over there in Paris, Croaks?
Germany, I think. Maybe.
Germany. I feel like we're having two different wars. It's like the US indoor stuff and then this occasional like European indoor stuff, and they're kind of just going at each other from different parts of the world. What do you think? You believe it?
Oh yeah, well he's run faster outdoors, hasn't he, for the mile? So I wasn't overly surprised, and just the way he does it, he sort of, I think they went through the 800 meters similar to what Nuguse ran. But yeah, was able just to wind it up over those last couple of laps. So it didn't surprise me at all. Like when you look at it, like because like this is doable for him because even the 1500, 3:29.63. Yes, he has to run an extra 109 meters, but he's run 3:26. So yeah, this is not a shock to me.
Obviously, the indoor track doesn't seem to bother him too much. Like when we think 1,500, indoor versus outdoor records, like it can get a bit confusing for some people. The indoor records are slower than the outdoor records, so the assumption is that indoor is slower than outdoor to run. So is that the case? Because I
think tradition. The weather factor out, don't you?
Yeah, well, obviously the weather, you don't have any wind. I'm not sure. We've never run indoors before, but I'm assuming it's relatively like air conditioned. So like, it's not too hot, not too cold. But I think traditionally indoors was always a lot slower, whereas now some of these tracks, like, Boston has this crazy reputation of being a fast track and fast times. I don't think there's much of a difference between what they're running indoors and out.
So it's like the tracks are all, they're not all 200 metres, are they? Some of them are.
No, I think
some of them are 300, aren't they?
Yeah, I think like University of Washington is like 300.
And they're banked on the corners.
Some are, some aren't.
Yeah, but the good ones are banked, aren't they? Because it's a lot easier to turn a corner when you've got a bank.
Yeah.
A lot less stress on the body.
Are super spikes better on the indoors than outdoors?
Don't know.
Yeah, don't know about that either.
Do you also feel? I always felt up until this year that indoors was like a secondary, not secondary sport, but it just wasn't taken as seriously. And so, like, all of these world records have gone down lately and national records, but I feel like it's never been as serious in the past as what it is now. And I think from what I've heard from other podcasts and reading, the reason why a lot of people are targeting indoors this year is come off the Olympics, had a bit of a break. It's such a long season, like World Championships isn't till September, so they can afford to come out, run really fast, go away, and not have to be in peak shape for, in a couple of months' time. They've got a bit longer to prepare now for outdoors.
Yeah, it was one or the other in the past. And if people come out indoors, you're like, well, they're going to be cooked for world champs later in the year. Whereas now, because you can have a break and then rebuild and go again.
Yeah. And like you look at, the example of indoors not being as popular, like, look at Tamsin. Like Tamsin was world indoor champion over 800. Don't think she ever really progressed past the semi-finals at like an outdoor championship. Whereas now a lot of the big dogs are running indoors as well.
What about from a contract point of view? Like, a lot of these guys would have bonuses for national records and world records. Like, is it a low-hanging fruit where it's just like, you know what, I can get a contract bonus if I go indoors now? Have to be, wouldn't it?
Not everyone. I mean, maybe for those that are breaking records, but not. There's only a couple breaking records. I know, like, that many went down, but when you look at it, like.
But even look down to, like, we'll get to Linden Hall in a minute. Like, do you think she'd have something in her Puma contract for a national record?
Yes.
Yeah, there would be, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good little money maker as well, maybe. That's the incentive to get him out there. Hey, who would you rather be? Nuguse racing to win, having someone on his shoulder? Does that push you more to break a world record? Or Jakob set up for you, no one in sight, just you and the wave lights? Which one gets more out of you?
Nuguse, yeah.
So I reckon Jakob can find some time if someone was on him?
Well, I don't know. I think...
He can relax a bit more.
Yeah, but I think if you look in the past, Jakob has not generally done well when people have been with him at the closing stages of a race. Like, most of them have been able to outkick him. So I think for him and the way that he runs, he actually doesn't have an issue sort of time trialing.
Yeah, he's just got that. There are definite strength. Like, some people have the strength of a time to be able to time trial. Like, look at Kipchoge. That man was a time trialer.
Yeah,
he could get out there, hit one pace, and he was just robotic. When he started to, I mean, he did win the Olympics, but a couple of times, but he didn't do it in a surgy nature. He did it by just his own pace. Yeah.
Whereas Nuguse is a racer. It's like, he wants someone there with like 80 to go to run down. Whereas I think someone like Jakob is like, if somebody's still there with 80 to go, he's like looking around going, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And then maybe tightens up a bit.
Depends who you are is the answer to that question.
Yeah.
We're going back to the States. Grant Fisher in an absolute purple patch, fellas. He broke the world indoor 5,000 metre record, which was held by Achilles. He ran 12:44.09. Took 5 seconds off that one. That was from 2004. So that's been around for 20 years. Did you see I saw the photo of him first, and I'm like, oh, there's some people right behind him, but he was lapping them. I think he had to break, was it 13:15 or 13:20 to not get lapped? There was a whole lot of college kids that he was just lapping here as well. So Grecia was second in 12:54, but I think, which was a European record, but I think it was those two, and then some slower people who aren't even that slow. They're running like 13:10, 13:15, 13:20. So Grant Fisher, boys, got the range, doesn't he? Go up to 10K, beat Ollie Hoare in a mile not so long ago.
Yeah, he's run a good 1,500, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, he took that 3K last week too, didn't he? Got a good head of hair on him. Probably, we don't have to always comment on people's hair on this show, but he just looks like a nice guy too, doesn't he? Did you meet him when you were over there, Moose? You've been in America a few times.
No, he was. I don't think he had joined that group that when I was there, like that Bauman group at the cross country race that we were at. I don't think he was there yet. I think he came across later. He's still at college, perhaps.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, if he can run 12:44, what can Morgan McDonald do? How much quicker can he go?
Well, I think Morgan needs to string together 1 to 2 years of consistent training. I think that's been Morgan's biggest issue. Whereas you look at Grant, has not missed a beat since college.
The opposite, yeah. Yeah, he's impressive. And he would have made some cash too, you'd think. What spikes was he wearing, Moose? Those white ones?
Oh, I didn't see. Here's
a good photo of him getting around.
Is it? Let me find it.
Dragonfly Elite 2, someone commented on it with a question mark. Would that be it?
Yeah, that's the one. So the plate, they're all forged spikes. They're a stiffer shoe than the normal Dragonflies. They are very much like a very snappy spike. But they're still, there's not a lot of spikes that are actually legal anymore after they've dropped it down to 20 mil. The Dragonfly is definitely one of them, like the most popular one still. Kind of how it came out, Dragonfly was the first super spike, and everyone got one. And then all the other brands came out and made some good stuff. But now it's gone back to 20 mil. There's very few around again, like Dragonfly.
Okay, so is Dragon...
I've seen a few on spikes come out. Everyone's bringing their stuff out, but it's at the moment we haven't seen too much.
Can you buy Dragonfly Elite spikes off you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then is there just a Dragonfly standard spike? Is there two of them?
There's a Dragonfly 2 as well, yeah. I believe it's... that's removable spikes. The plate in the shoe is not carbon. Plate in the Dragonfly Elite is carbon.
Ooh. I'll have to get some, Croaks. They'll help me on the cricket pitch. Could be good.
Yeah, they're good. It's a good spike. I reckon I would have liked it when I was running. Like I didn't like the flexibility of the spikes. That was like the thing that I didn't like about my foot bending a ton, like with the old Matumbos and stuff. Whereas the Dragonfly Elite has that plate just to keep your foot sort of stiffer in the shoe.
But the Dragonfly doesn't have a plate.
The Dragonfly, it has a spike plate, but it's not a carbon plate.
Carbon plate.
Yeah, so there's a lot more flexibility there.
Okay. Yearning to get off the roads and onto the trails? Wondering what the fuss is all about out there in the bush? Find your epic and run with nature at the 2025 Buffalo Stampede Festival by Single Track Events. Held in Bright in Victoria's High Country on March 28 to 30th, the Stampede offers challenging trail runs with serious elevation from 10k to 100k. Sign up using the promo code INSIDERUNNING10 for a 10% discount off a race entry and your chance to win one of 3 pairs of ASICS shoes. Going to the Husky Classic next in Washington. Jack Rayner was in action over here for a 3K. He ran 7:42. I haven't watched it, but he was around some good runners, I heard. You guys know any more? Got a 5K coming up this week in Boston, which would take him 9 weeks out from London. Some concerns that he should be training for a marathon, not running indoors.
It's an odd move to go, like, I think if this was 14, 15 weeks out, I would prefer seeing it. I don't think it's terrible if the 3K is an afterthought and he's doing a lot more 10K stuff right now, because he can transition over and he can have 8-week block. I mean, we know he gets injured a lot, so perhaps like they're just shortening the marathon block before London. So they want to see him on the start line with maybe a little less risk. But if he's been specifically doing a ton of sort of speed work and this indoor stuff goes on a bit longer than we know about, so it starts to cut into sort of 2 weeks from now, like 7 weeks to go, all of a sudden I think we need to be a little concerned.
I reckon part of the reason for this indoor campaign is to try and look ahead to the rest of the season, because I reckon the 3K was a rust buster for the 5K this weekend, where he'll try and get the World Championship standard. Because if you think about the marathon in April is going to probably delay him getting into really good track shape. And so he'll almost then be playing catch up. Whereas if he can try and knock over the standard in the 5K for Worlds before the marathon, it means that he doesn't have to push as quick after the marathon to get the qualifier for the September championships.
Just looking at his Strava. So like it was 10 weeks out yesterday, I feel, from London. So he's had 2 90-minute runs the last 2 weeks, and then at least the 4 weeks before that were all an hour 45. So it's going to be it's that work that as you said, Moose, it's not traditional because he's a guy that gets injured and misses races, marathons sometimes, so maybe they're going with a condensed build. But that period from 10 to 16 weeks out is quite small, I guess.
But he also got really, he didn't do a lot in the lead up to Melbourne and ran quite well on a pretty shitty day and had probably probably more in the tank.
Yeah.
And he's going to have probably more of a prep for this one than he would have for Melbourne.
Yeah, because his Strava's empty here for July and there's some little running in August, and he's got up for October. But the standards change though, Croaks. Like Melbourne 2:11, let's say the course and the day brings it back to 2:9:30. Still, you're still a K behind Andy running 2:6.
Yeah, and I guess this is the problem with Jack at the moment is he's hedging his bets between being a track runner and a marathoner. And so and as I said before, the London Marathon means that it's going to be very hard to be in, really good track shape, probably June. I guess by June, because that's only 6 weeks after the marathon, when you really need to be starting to hit times in June to qualify for the September championship. So trying to do that now. But if he wasn't focused on the track at all and just a marathoner, then I don't think he'd be doing the.
Be good if you stayed over there and went to Boulder or Flagstaff for just go to altitude for the next 9 weeks. Go straight from altitude to London Marathon. Just live like a monk. Get on the soda waters, Moose, as you do down there in Anglesey.
Yeah, that monk life stuff was good. Not sure it works.
If he travels home again, he might miss it. Because if he races again this weekend to 5K and then travels home, all of a sudden he's missed another long run, and the travel takes it out of you. He's probably not training until mid next week, and he's 8.5 weeks out.
Maybe there is a plan though. You're going to have to find a spot. It's still winter over there.
Yeah, nearly finished though. Well, we got 2 weeks left. Well,
you go further enough south, and it's not a problem anyway.
Anyway, watch that space. Jude Thomas had an absolute rip and run, 3:51.19. Finished second behind Nico Young. Took it up as well with 250 metres to go. I've just got in the notes here, boys. The prince that was promised. Bit of a Game of Thrones reference there. Don't you feel that about Jude? He was just this freak junior, going to break through, probably just taken a few years longer than anyone kind of expected, and now we're kind of seeing that come to fruition.
Yeah, we had those 2 years where he won the national 3K, beating all the open guys. And then, when you think about before Cam ran the indoor Aussie record for the mile, Ollie held it at 350.8. So 0.4 off the old Aussie record.
Which Cam didn't get in his first one, his first mile over there.
Yeah. And I'd say that Jude's probably shown more promise at the slightly longer distances. I never saw him as a pure sort of miler. I sort of saw him better at the slightly longer.
Well, we've seen some very swift kicks on him though, in some of those races, just being able to storm home.
Did anyone want to slab on Jude over Jack at the 5K? Boston indoors this weekend? That could be a good bet.
I'll take it.
You take Jack, I'll take Jude.
No, opposite.
Oh, no, I'm on Team Jude, the prince that was promised. Croaks, you
on?
No. Nearly out of that beer that you sent me last time too, Moose.
Around 7:42, Croaks. He's 27:09 guy. Or a 6 or something.
Yeah, so why don't you take Jack then?
Well, I'm just... No.
It's just a rust buster for Jack.
Bloke's never run on an indoor track, and he's run 7:42.
Like, what's Jude's 5K PB? Like that's going to be the only issue for Jude is the distance.
Yeah, that's why it's a risky bet. That's why I'm happy to take him. I'm just looking it up now. He ran, you got to remember, he out-kicked Jack at Noosa Bolt, and Jack wouldn't have liked that. Sam Clifford was there that same night as well. 5K for the young fella. He's ran 13:33.
Yeah.
He could take 30 seconds off that this weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised. If he goes out and runs 13:03 with what's happening in the world of distance running at the moment, I'd be like, yep, cool. Nothing shocks me anymore.
Yep. And Jude's 3K PB was set at Zatopek. He ran 7:42. So same that what Jack ran indoors.
All right, Brady, here's one. 13:10 over or under for Jude. Slab.
Oh, yeah.
He's your boy.
13:10. It's still like, because we were around for so long, 13:10 used to be a hard time to run. And I'm like, gee, Thomas can't run 13:10. But I'm like, as I said before, I just don't get surprised anymore.
Yeah, if he runs 12:50, yeah. Like...
yeah, cool. No worries. You want him over or under?
I reckon that's the line on him.
That's the line, isn't it? Yeah. We'll talk in the message group, I reckon.
Nah, that's not fair on Jude Thomas. I don't think that's fair. Having the line there. It's got to be higher than that.
Too low.
No, it's got to be higher. It's not fair, the pressure, because you're kind of calling that line as like
pass or fail.
Pass or fail, right?
No, we're just saying we think that's where he's gonna land, and I think he'd be happy with a 13:09 or a 13:11.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
I'd have to see the field and what the paces are going out. Like, 'cause there could be some fast guys that are going for 12:45, and he just gets isolated. But what, he just got out kicked by Nico Young. If I said to you, Nico Young, 13:10, what would you say?
He'll run way faster than that.
Yeah. Anyway, watch your space this weekend.
But as we know, mile and 5K they're very different events.
Yeah.
Like Nico is going to get better the longer the event goes. I'm not sure Jude gets better the longer the event goes.
Supposedly he was dominating up at Falls Creek. But then it'd be interesting. Anyway, Boston, we're talking about next week. But Boston that just gone. Linden Hall, she ran a new Australian record of 14:58 to finish third behind Tanaka. Naomi Tanaka, Croaks?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the Japanese princess over there, one of the best runners to ever come out of Japan, 14:51. Callie Thackeray, 14:55. Lauren Ryan was also at the same meet, 8:41 to win the 3,000 metres. Really weird Channel 7 news article on her today about how her boyfriend broke up with her on Valentine's Day. Real clickbait, terrible journalism. But back to Linden Hall. First time she's now become sub 2, sub 4 for 15, and now sub 15 for 5K. That's got a nice ring to it. She got some range. Been around for a while too, Linden.
Good to see her running the 5K. Given when we had her on before, she didn't seem real interested in stepping up.
Yeah, it breaks the national record.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, of all the national records lately, it's probably like one that you could eye off as a Linden or a Jess Hull and go, I could pick up my bonus here, 14:58. Considering like we've had like Rose and Izzy and Lauren and who else has been going under?
Well, Lauren obviously hasn't gone under on the indoors.
No. I mean in the outdoor space as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great run. I mean, it's a national record. No one's run faster than it in Australia.
Can't it just get to a stage where we just have one? Why do we need to have indoor and outdoor?
Once they start getting closer, I think it'll be just one.
I think it will overtake it. I reckon all the indoor ones will get quicker.
Yeah, well, it depends on these tracks, I think. If they keep building these tracks to be faster and faster, like with, I know, like, you know, there's that super track. What is it, BU?
Yeah, Boston, yeah.
That's when Jack and Jude are racing that.
Yeah, okay. 13:10 might be on there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all for me, Croaks. Do you want to, or Moose, you want to take us to the Adelaide International?
Adelaide International. Yeah, I didn't watch this. There was something. I think we were out at dinner or something. But the meet was on. Is this the first one for the year? Like the first of the series?
Yeah. It was on channel. I was on like 7+ on the app, so you could cool. Stream it. Bruce was doing some commentary.
Might put that on later after this podcast. Scroll through. Some big names out. I guess that's what happens when you make the qualifying criteria that you've got to support the local meets. It's interesting, though, that, like, Linden Hall's overseas. Like, the really big athletes are overseas, and these guys here are ticking the criteria box. I mean, there's still some massive names, like Peter Bowles, as big as they get, but, it's just I just don't like it. I just don't like the criteria.
Look, the 800s were definitely the pick of the meet in terms of the depth or the quality of athlete. Like the others were more of a Vic Milers combined with the state championship, really.
Yeah, I gotcha. So in the 8, Abby Caldwell won 201.84. She beat off Sarah Billings 203.09 and Bindiria Boya 203.11. So that's a pretty good win there for Abby to start off the domestic season. Peter Bowl, he won 146.4, beat Daniel Williams 146.7, and Jack Lunn, New Zealander. Is he New Zealander?
No, he's Aussie.
Oh, don't know why I got that wrong. 147.71.
I saw this race. Daniel Williams was real good.
Yeah.
Took it up to Pete Bowl with
200
metres to go, gapped him, but then was probably a bit aggressive, and then Pete got him back with 50 metres to go on the home straight.
Same thing happened in the women's, where Bendiri actually went to the front down the back straight, somewhere around 200 as well, and we thought, this could be interesting. But then Abby's always got like a really strong last 100, so she was able to go past Bendiri, and then Sarah was able to come up and just pip Bendiri on the line. But I don't think conditions weren't great. And that's what probably the guys' times were actually pretty solid, given it was quite windy, I think.
There's a 5K there. James Hansen, the Tasmanian, beat off another Tasmanian by 1 second, Sam Clifford. So 13:40 to 13:41, and Josh Phillips 13:42. How did this race play out? Was that just a big kick out of a group?
Didn't watch this one, Moose. I watched the 800s and I watched the women's 5K.
Didn't watch it, Craigs.
No, it was Netflixing.
Most articulate man in the media didn't watch the race.
Yeah, after having it on, though, what do you flick channels?
The 800s were, so the men's and women's 800s and the women's 5K were like the last sort of 3 events.
Craigs, tell me if they set it up like this. I've been talking about this for years. You know what I'm going to say. Coverage goes from 7 till 9 p.m, 7:30 to 8:15. All the distance races back to back to back. You would have watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, do it. Easy. It was a real obvious when you're watching these, like, and I know they're World Athletics, like, meets that you go to their website and you tune in and you see these world indoor meets, and then you flick on the old Australian Athletics live stream. You got Bruce on the mic, which is good, but it's like a very big step down in quality and dull time in between races, and now we're going to throw to this, and it's Saturday night. You're competing with, there was an AFL practice match on, and I was like, I want to watch that over my own sport.
Yeah, there was like an Indigenous All-Stars versus like the Maori team in the rugby league as well that night.
Yeah, like you're competing with that stuff, so I reckon you just need to deliver it on a platter.
Well, here's a question for you as well. Like the last few weeks, we've just been seeing all of these like crazy times around the world from some Aussies as well. And then you go back to like the men's 5K and like 13:40. You know, a few years ago, you're like, oh, James Hansen, like 13:40. You know, like good season opener. Like, you know, potentially we'll see him at a World Championships in the 5K. Whereas now it's like, this is still great running, but you just don't get excited because guys are running nearly a minute faster that we're talking about. Do you sort of sense that? It's very hard to get excited now about this sort of stuff?
I still get excited with the personal connection. Like Jimmy's one of our coaches and he's a good fella and it was great to see him win. And Sam Clifford seems like a really nice guy as well and good to see him up there. And I think the weather was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe this is 13:25, but you're still like, 40 seconds behind Grant Fisher.
Like, but even like to qualify for the World Championships, like you got to run 13 minutes. And it's like the
13:01 isn't the qualifier.
Yeah, like the sport has just moved so far that guys that are running still very good times almost just like you just go, oh yeah, they ran 13:40.
I don't mind following it because there is more of a local flavour to it, and you know the stories. Like we all know the stories a bit more. We've had James on, Sam. I don't think we've had Josh on before, but in the ladies like Nat Rule, Amy Robinson, Georgia Hansen, these are sort of runners we've followed over the course of this podcast, 380 episodes.
Yeah.
So we've followed them really closely. I reckon a lot of these guys have come out of juniors as we've developed the podcast. So I like following this stuff. I think I actually don't get that excited about watching times that I can't relate to in any way.
Yeah, we'll get to that one soon.
Yeah, exactly. But this to me feels a little more reality. It feels like I can somehow empathize a little with these type of athletes, whereas looking overseas it just doesn't happen. So
they put up a bit of money for this too, don't they? Like
they've got to be prize
these
money.
are kind of big wins for these. Like for Jimmy Hansen, this is a big win for Jimmy on the track. What's it called?
Yeah, well, he's beaten some good athletes.
Adelaide Invitational.
15th. I'll see if I can see how much prize money they get.
So in the females though, we'll just talk about that. So Nat Rule won. She ran 15:21. She beat Amy Robinson 15:22, and Georgia Hansen was third in 15:23. So
this was a really good finish actually. Like Amy was leading down the back straight, and even probably, actually she was leading still into the home straight. Like probably only got past with like 50 to go. So I know for Amy, like that was like a 40-second PB or something. continues to improve out of sight.
Yeah, I worry she's racing a lot. Like every single week we're reading out results, and I know these days you can recover a bit stronger, but there's just a lot of racing going on, and it's always a worry when someone's racing all the time. For me, anyway, I just worry a little bit.
One result we did put there, which sort of like actually surprised me when I saw her name on the start list, was Leanne Pompiani. So she's 3 weeks away or so from running Nagoya. So I was surprised to see her run a 5. I think she ran like 15:33 maybe. So she's still there with a couple of laps to go, but these girls were able to kick away from her. So no doubt in like heavy training. But I was surprised.
Yeah, you get it kind of like a week or 10 days out, don't you? Like just have that rust buster, sharpen up a bit. The old school way, Moose.
Well, I don't like it really. Like
I'm just saying, it's like that's when you've seen it in the past.
Yeah. The mono always would run a 5K a week out or a 10K. But I think that is pretty old school now. Like I don't think you're seeing those big marathoners running a 5K 3 weeks out. Like
well, 3 weeks is different than 1 week. You're still in the meat of it, aren't you? Like that's sometimes traditionally when that's your big last workout, 3 weeks out.
Yeah, you could say, I'm going to recover from that 5, so it won't affect me on race day. But you're also sort of thinking, well, this is in the middle of, like you just said, this is 3 weeks out. This is the weekend where I do my biggest workout. I'm doing the chair, almost like the penultimate race to the race for me.
But then I guess if you look at Leanne's training, like she had so many big weeks of close to like 200K for probably like 8 weeks in a row that having a recovery week and just turning the legs over might actually be good for her.
Maybe a down week and smack
lower the mileage, and like
lower the mileage, but you're still racing a 5K on a track after not being Like,
And travelling. People underrate travel. Travel takes it out of you. You get sick travelling.
Yeah, I don't.
Whip up her Strava, Moose. What's she been doing? You follow her now, don't you?
Nah, I never got the fault.
She never accepted it.
Yeah. She said she did on air, but never happened.
Oh.
Played that off real cool, didn't she?
Oh, not now. You've exposed it. Steeple Croaks or Moose. We've spoken about that last bit.
Yeah, so Carafi and Ryan won the ladies, 9:33. That's a solid time. And Ed Tripper's 8:49 to win. So that's two of our premier steeplers out there winning in Adelaide.
Olympians.
I think it was a meet record for Cara.
Not on the broadcast though. They started the broadcast after a race.
Yeah, I think it was
really?
I think there was only like five women in the field though.
What about Croaks come out, Moose? He might want me to cut this, but he said if he was Sebco for the day, the first thing he does is get rid of the steeple.
Oh, that's a fair call.
Didn't mind it from him.
But you're allowed to have an opinion, Brady.
I know. I'm encouraging opinions.
Well, look, maybe if you're putting these steeples during the coverage that goes out to the masses, I don't think that's a good look. When you've got 5 girls on a start list and first is 9:33, second is close to 10 minutes, third's 10:30, like how is that good entertainment?
No, that's not good. And that kind of shows the state of the steeple at the elite level too. Like, we know the top 3, and then there's daylight, right? In pretty much the men's and the women's. The men's, there was more of a field for a while. I remember the national champs. You had like Liam Cashin stepping up, and but
James
still,
Nicholas, remember his years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It always feels like the fields are super weak, and that if in order to get that race going, they need to start pulling people from the 5K, getting them to transition across.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
they just
you're going
tack
to
that back onto a Vic Miles club. Just go, these are 2 steeples we're putting on, put a bit of prize money onto it. Sydney Miles Club.
Well, it depends on what the sport wants to do about it. So if they do want to incentivise more, then they've got to go, okay, well, we're going to put these races on and we're going to provide a little incentive here for people to come across. We're going to give you, we're going to get a coach to teach you technique, because you can't just jump on the track and automatically think a 5K runner transitions to a steepler. Like, there's hurdling involved. Although when you listen to, remember we had Jen Gregson on, who was a steepler, but she sort of said she didn't train much for the hurdles at all. But I think there is a lot of technique stuff that can work for it.
Well, we've seen in the past, like so many of like even the MTC group, like guys that aren't quite making teams.
Yeah, Jack Bruce debuted at the steeple here. Yeah.
Will like jump into a steeple. And like, because even at one point, I think Stewie did steeple there for a period as well.
Yeah, he did.
Like, they sort of test them out when it's like, okay, well, you're not in the top tier of our 3K, 5K, 1,500 metre runners, so let's throw you into the steeple to see if we can somehow jag a qualifying time. And, yeah, I think Jack ran, 8:59 or something, which, for a guy that's running 7:40 probably for 7:40 something for 3K, like, that's not a great conversion.
Yeah. Shows how hard it is. Got to respect it. Where we going next, Croaks? Barcelona half, the Spanish road races. There was a 10K as well in a different location. Yeah,
we'll start with the half. So yeah, I got sent through Did you send through the link to our group chat for this? Because Chriso was having a run.
Yeah, I was excited about Chriso. I sent through the link, but then I didn't have to. I chose to put her child to bed and didn't watch any of it. So I've seen the results, but you're going to tell me all about it.
Yeah, so I watched this and it was all in Spanish, so I couldn't understand what they were saying, but I was understanding the time splits where it was like how far under the course record and world record they were, and also just the gaps between Kiplimo and Kemworo. It was just huge. So Kiplimo basically ran 2 10Ks, 26:46 back-to-back, ran 56:42, which broke Kajelcha's world record by 48 seconds. Kamwara was second in 58.42, so almost 2 minutes behind. And I could not believe what I was watching. I know we were sort of a few of us were chatting in that group chat about he was just robotic. Like, he literally looked like he was running a 5K. His feet were just not touching the ground. I said to you guys off air, I thought I was watching a superhero movie where this guy was going to take off, basically run past the lead car because that's how fast he is, and maybe save a kid on the way to the finish line. It was
put out a fire.
It was almost just unbelievable what I was watching because his form did not change. And even when he crossed, just did not look fatigued at all. And the thing what I can't get my head around is we know so many guys that have been at the sport, like people that we coach, not even at this level, that work their ass off day in, day out. And we know how hard it is for them to take a minute off their half marathon PB. Now, this guy's taken close to a minute off his own PB, but he's also at the pointy end. So you'd think when you're getting to the elite level, the improvements aren't going to be that huge. Whereas he's doing this with no pacemaker. This is a time trial. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to take a minute off my half marathon, I need perfect weather. Yeah, they got perfect weather. I need somebody around me. I'm not going to be able to run 21K by myself and run a minute PB. The other thing is his 10K road PB was 26.48 from the 2024 Valencia 10K. We know Valencia is quick. This guy's run all of the fast road races in the world, and he's pretty much running his 10K road PB. Well, he's run 2 seconds faster than his road PB, and then he's done it again. Now, Brady, you go to Albert Park and you run 30 flat, or just break 30 minutes for 10K down there, and that's your PB. You're not going to go back a year later and go through 30 minutes 10K and just keep going on your own with no pacemaker and run.
But,
63.
It doesn't even matter how much fitter you've got. You still won't be able to do that.
It just ruined the sport for me last night. I was sitting at work this morning putting these results in, and I was just all this data was, reading different things going, yeah, he ran this split for this 5K, and then you look at the all-time list and it's 26.46. There's not that many people that have run that fast for 10K on the road, and it's not like he's new to the sport. He's been doing this shit for years. I don't know. Just
look at what's our Australian record on the road?
What, 59.50?
No,
10K.
10K.
Probably 27.40 maybe.
Jack down at Burnie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I reckon it's I'll have a look. I reckon it's 27.40ish maybe.
So he ran 26.20 from 10K to 20K.
Was that? He basically ran
That's a split.
26.46 and then another 26.46.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but I believe there was a quicker.
Middle 10.
Maybe from 5 to 15 or something like that. Yeah.
Fuck, it is so phenomenal. I'm with you, Croaks. I don't
from
find
5
that
to 15K was 26.12. It says here.
Oh, 26.12. It's just not even inspiring to me. I don't get any type of inspiration from that or motivation. I reckon there was when Kipchoge went and did that project and ran under 2, or the Olympics inspire me, but this does not. This felt like why would I bother watching anymore?
Yeah. I wrote on, so Chriso just put something up on Strava about how he's woken up this morning and he's a bit down in the dumps. And I was like, mate, keep chipping away because you are way more inspirational than this bloke. Because we know that you're out there busting your ass, and we know how hard it is to actually take small improvements off your time. And here's this guy just coming out, taking close to a minute off his PB with no pacemaker, not even looking tired. And
what are you saying here though, Chris? You don't believe it?
No. Jack's PB on the road's 27.43. So
do you reckon he's on that bicarb stuff that people are talking about, or the shoes? You reckon he's performance enhancing drugs?
I reckon there's so many things out there at the moment that maybe are a front for people then to be able to actually go a bit berserk with drugs, because it's okay, shoes came out, everyone's into double threshold now. Everyone's into bicarb. And so everyone goes, oh, it's that reason, it's that reason, it's that reason. But I don't reckon all of those reasons contribute to that much improvement. Like Chriso does double threshold. Chriso wears super shoes.
Yeah, but we all have different talent levels. This guy could be a one in. Is an Olympic. The Olympic gold medalist.
Like look at what he's saying though. Is Chriso has not improved with all these other things.
Yeah. And neither have I. No, I haven't tried bicarb yet, but shoes.
I don't know if Chriso's using bicarb at all, but like Chriso's been doing all this other stuff, and there's the majority of people out there that we know, like basically work their ass off day in, day out, have try all these things, double threshold, and they still don't improve this much.
Yeah, but I'm saying this guy is like the top 0.1% of the world. Guys like Chriso and me, we're like just maybe the top 10% or something. Like this guy is the best of the best.
Yeah, but then all right, well look at it. But
maybe we shouldn't compare ourselves to this guy. Like he was the world record holder.
This guy's done something that no one else ever in the world has done. Look at the athletes that have run this. Cam Warwar.
Yeah, he beat him by 2 minutes.
Yeah. And look at who he's done this to. He hasn't just done this to other people in the race. He's done this to every other athlete ever that ever existed.
Tedeschi. Old shoes though, Tedeschi.
And then when you start
was he pacing off the car croaks? I saw a bit of stuff talking about that.
64-second 400s. Back to back for 21K.
And if you've never run track before, that doesn't mean much to you, but 241 a kilometre will.
That's what got me there. The 241 a kilometre.
How many reps do you reckon? When you're the fittest you've ever been, Moose, like world champs, 4 weeks out, maybe you've sprinkled a bit of speed stuff in there with this challenge. How many 241Ks could you run? Just K reps. I'll give you a minute off. Two of them? Yeah, two. Yeah.
Two.
Yeah. But I'm just looking at the I'm just opening it up on Twitter and just watching the footage of him cross the line. Runs through the tape, celebrates, dips, runs over to people, starts hugging them. He's not even, wouldn't even blow out a candle.
Robotic. Seriously, like when I was watching...
If I didn't, AI. Is he a robot?
If I didn't know it was a half marathon, when I was looking at it, I'm like, this guy's running 5K. It was just like real fast turnover, feet hardly touching the ground. And the way that he was going around the bends, I'm like, he's going to bloody injure himself here. Like he needs to slow down to go around these bends because he's going so fast.
13:23 5K. So you could be forgiven for thinking that because that's what he was running.
Yeah, I know. And I said in the group chat, like he just made everybody else in that race look like they were ordinary. Like you go back to Cam Warhol, and like admittedly he's not the smoothest mover compared to Kip Limo, but I'm like, oh, that guy looks terrible, and he's run 58 something. Like it just, I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And I don't know whether it actually made me. It certainly didn't get me up and about because. I like to think that these elite athletes should like inspire you, but that doesn't inspire me because I know how hard it is to improve by that much. With I don't know, like in normal races when you've got people around you, not time trialing it.
Not one person. Like we're in a few message groups together, and we're probably in another 10 individually with other runners, and not one person was like inspired. They all had the same theme going through them.
But isn't his
who's
his manager?
Yeah, Dr. Rosa. Same manager as Ruth Chepnegedich. Whenever you see the orange kit, Croaks, whenever you see that orange Nike kit, that's the one. That's the special Dr. Rosa Nike kit.
All right, and so to put into context, so the former world record holder over the half marathon, Kajelcha, who ran 57:30, I think. He raced at the same time in Spain, different place. He ran an all-out 10 kilometres in 26:31 to move to number 2 all-time behind Ronex Kipruto's 26:24. Now, I'll just repeat that. Kajelcha ran an all-out 10K on another historically fast course, 26:31. Kiplimo was only going through 15 seconds slower and doing it again. And Kajelcha is the old world record holder and has run incredible races, in the past.
Well, he actually had the mile world record indoors before Nuguse took it off him last week.
Yeah.
He
So
lost 2 world records in 8 days.
yeah, and
What do you reckon Kiplimo could have run on that 10K course? Same day.
Well, maybe he can't go that much quicker, but he just can lock into this robotic 241k pace. That's what he's programmed at.
but don't you think though, like if you're running this much faster than you've ever run before, surely there's some level of fatigue that you're starting to experience at the end of the race. Especially if
he's doing London Marathon, mate. Maybe he's just stepped up his Ks and he's getting ready for London Marathon. He's activated this new level of fitness.
So what do you reckon?
He's gone from 170k weeks to 200, and he goes, you know what, this is working for me.
Hypothetical then. So obviously London's probably not known as being like super, super quick, not compared to Valencia. But let's say he was running Valencia in 10 weeks' time. Does he break 2 hours?
Well, statistically, he's got to be a real good shot.
Yeah.
You can remember what Kipton did a couple of years ago at London too, how he just dropped the hammer in that second half, and he run 61 for the second half at London. This guy is in that sort of ballpark now. Yeah. Like we've got to start thinking about him as that next world record holder in the marathon. You can't do that in a half and just forget about it.
Well, imagine how comfortable he's going through a half marathon in an hour. That's 3 minutes 15. Yeah. Anyway, so
it's different though. Different world of marathon.
Women's results, Jocelyn Jep Kosgei got the win 64-13, beating Gladys Chepkarui 66-25, and that women's race where Kajelcha raced, Medina Issa, she got the win in 29-24, which moves her to number 4 all time.
Hey, back to the old Kiplimo. Was he drafting off the car? There was a bit of stuff going on. He was getting really close to the lead car. Could have that been it? He just got paced by a car.
I did see some stuff that he was like, he did get close at times, but then Jordo reckons you need to be within 3 meters to have benefit. And I don't know whether he was that close. But he was definitely like, I definitely haven't seen a race where the lead car has been that close to the runners before, which is probably even more reason why I thought, man, this is like a superhero movie, because he's going to like just go past his car in a minute because the car's not fast enough. Yeah.
So we've spoken about, 4 world records over the last couple of weeks, Croaks. No problems with Grant Fisher, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, your boy Cam Myers, but now Kiplimo comes out and does this and you got big problems.
I feel like this is completely different level though, because all of those times that they've run previously, like they've run those outdoor for the mile. Like as I said, I feel like indoors traditionally has been like low-hanging fruit, but how long have people been running half marathons on the road?
Kind of stacks up to what they're doing outside too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's nothing, as I said, like, Ingebrigtsen's mile time and 1,500 metre time that he ran indoors is actually slower than what he's run outdoors, even though it's a world record. Whereas this just blew every other run out of the water. And if you actually put it into calculators and have a look what it converts to for other distances, it's mind-boggling. I just can't get your head around it.
Zach went to put in one of the calculators today and it said it's too quick to put in the calculator. You can't put in times under 57 minutes.
On his like little AI training software, no.
Yeah.
What about you, Brady? I feel like you're sitting on the fence here.
No, I'm just trying to question your opinions and just try to be a bit more balanced, but I'm very much same thing. I felt it did nothing for me. I was just like, meh. Like I was more interested in what Chris O ran, to be honest. I'm like elite. Yep. Really sad, and I'm just worried if we're just 3 old guys now, because we were up and about froth monsters back in 2018 when we started this thing, and is it just because we got to this age? But I'm nearly fed up with the top end of the sport. Well, not fed up, but I'm just like, it doesn't inspire me. I didn't get excited about it. I just write the lol message in the message groups now. I'm just like, I've become desensitized to it, which is... Like, I think back to 3 weeks ago, Izzy Batdor broke the Australian record, and it's like old news. It's like every week something happens now, and, like, you forget about how impressive that was, because you get this, like, the news cycle in elite running just moves so quick. And what pisses me off the most is we don't know anything about these people. Like, where do you... And it's probably the running journalists part of the industry as well that, like, what do you know about Jakob Kiplimo and his training philosophies and who his coach is and, like, what his workouts are, and Roof Chepngetich, like, you know, you see their results and you can look up their profiles and all their stuff, but it's very hard to be a fan or a individual on the bandwagon of these people because you see them come in, run super fast, take the money, go. And it's just like, yeah, it's...
Well, you know who their, yeah, and then
you know who their agent is. I mean, you put their agent's name into Google and you go, oh, hang on, there's old articles about suspicious activity, which did get thrown out, by the way. Yeah, it's weird.
It's not
weird spot.
Not in the spirit of sport, but I'm almost at the point now where, like, I actually reckon they could just open it up to drugs, and then it actually takes one part of the equation out of it. It's something that we don't actually have to wonder anymore whether the person's on drugs. Just go for it. Let's see how far.
Didn't Trump come out and back, like, the enhanced games?
Yeah, but I'm just like, I have no doubt that a lot of the top ones are on something. So just go for it.
I don't like I don't like that either, though.
No, it's not good for the sport. It's
sophisticated system. That's how Kipruto got done. Sophisticated system. I think the system, and I'm not saying this about Kiplimo, but the people that get done are maybe some of the stupider ones that don't have the sophisticated system in place. But when you see the people get done running 58.30 and 60 flat, you're just like, whoa, hang on. Like, I feel like we're living in an era where it's discussing results that have potentially fueled by performance-enhancing drugs, and the system is that good that you can't catch them.
Yeah, that's always been the way. Like, the people taking the drugs have always been a step ahead of the technology to test for those drugs. The
resources aren't there to catch them, and it's like who gives a shit as well? Like, there's no big, like, sports media going after these people. They're doing the tennis guy just got popped. That's where they're doing NBA All-Star Weekend. It's like there's no resources to people to actually dig into these geography, like trying to get to these places.
Yeah.
Language barriers, like it's... imagine the resources you got to have to jump down that rabbit hole.
Don't you think, though, like, this, it just looks too good to be true?
Yes.
Like, and that's where you have to have your doubts. Like, you know... I don't believe that, bicarbonate stuff might help you, shoes might help you, training methods have changed and may help you, but I don't know about this much. And looking that way when you run, like, just, I don't know, like, surely you're going to get tired. If you're running a minute faster than you've ever run before, you're going to be starting to get tired, aren't you?
You are. Anyway, not sure how much of that I'm going to have to cut for the Wednesday release, boys, but... see how we go. Port Fairy happened. Moose was down there. Our man, Reese Edwards, come off a shocker at the Bendigo 5K Frenzy last week. Didn't he run like 15:07 or something for 5K?
Didn't break 15.
Something like that. He's come out and ran 2:17.35 to get the win. Marnie Ponton won the women's in 2:50.28. I think Reese won by about 20 minutes, didn't he, Moose? Was the next best in the 2:30s, 2:35, something like that? Jason, who organises the event, isn't he?
He's one of the organising committee,
Yeah, that was cool. He comes second in his own race.
But you know, this race, the half and the full go off together.
Yeah, so did he sit with those guys?
Yeah. He got it. Like, they did a bit of surging as the race got on, maybe like 15K or so. But he got the 15. So he got 15K with him and whatever. And so he went through just off the back of him, not with him, after they started to kick home. But yeah, it was a sensational run. Like, it was windy down there. Like, our marquee was set up and we got fucking stuff blowing off the racks. We got the tablecloths, like, fully, like, flipping over. It was cold because of that wind. Like, I had a beanie on, big jacket, pants. It was not a nice morning. Like, there wasn't rain, but it was windy, and it was the wind comes straight off the beach there, off the ocean. So it was like an onshore thing, and it's a really exposed course up the top. There's like a section, or it's like at the south of the course where you go along the beach, gets pretty exposed. So I was shocked by this run down there. The day before, Jason said to me, he's like, I spoke to Reese. He's going to go under 220. He reckons he will. And I said, $1,000 he won't. I'll bet you right now. He's not going under 220. He was fit last year and ran 222.
Yeah, it was a week before Osaka.
1 week or 2 weeks was it? Might have been 1 week.
I got a feeling it was only 1 week, wasn't it? Or it could have been 2 weeks, but it was very close.
Anyway, it cooked his Osaka. But he was fit and he couldn't do it. And then this time, I was watching it. I went out there on the bike and I was like riding behind him. I've got a video of him at about 35k mark, and he looked so good. Like if there's someone that I want to run like, it's him.
Yeah.
Just sense like this forward lean, this high back lift.
So rhythmical.
Stable. Yeah. Looks amazing. And even as I ran on the treadie tonight, I'm like, how do I run like Reese? Like, what sort of things do I need to do to change my body posture to look more like him? I was very impressed with him. It's one of the best runs I've ever seen at one of these local events. Probably the best.
I got a whisper here of so like he got a bonus if he broke his own course record, which I think was 2:22:30 or something like that. And I got a message sent through his coach's message to him before the race. So I just said, have a good long run tomorrow, mate. Get it done as easy as possible. Reese's reply, will do, mate. He's gone out and broke the course record by 5 minutes. Won the race by 20 minutes. Just leathered him. Well, maybe he hasn't leathered himself, but I just love that he's just gone and ran 2:17. That's what we love about Reese. He got out for 16k today as well, day after a 2:17.
Someone did say to me as well, they're like, oh, he's not the smartest dude, is he? He should have just broke it by 10 seconds and kept breaking it every year.
Come back next year,
Yeah.
He could have been a real ambassador every year, couldn't he? Just
they look after him. He's a fucking pin-up boy down there.
Yeah, I love it.
They give him accommodation. They're like chauffeur around town. I think they've sorted him with a job for the next few years as well.
I love that. I love he's a hard worker. He's a man of the people. He should get looked after.
Yeah.
Deserves every cent he would have got off him.
Pin-up boy down there.
And now we're talking about their race for 5 minutes. Like, you get Reese Edwards there. It brings publicity.
They pick... But so Marnie Ponton won the ladies. Oh, you're doing this, eh?
Yeah, I did read her time. 2:50.28. Was that just like go around as easy as possible to win some cash?
Well, she didn't get... I mean, if she had another minute in her, she would have got the women's record and got that bonus on top of that.
Yeah.
So that would have been a decent little kick. So I don't think she would have done it that easily if she had a minute and a half or a minute in her to pick up an extra, was it $2,000 or $1,500?
Yeah, somewhere around that. And she did win by 6 minutes.
I think she's building back up. So she's going to do comrades again. So you'll probably see her doing a lot of like just marathon, like local marathon events as part of training for that.
Gotcha. What about the half marathon? Our boy, the baddest boy in Australian distance runner, returned to race, and Toby Mende, he won it in 67.32. Will Ford second, 67.40, so close finish. Brett Ellis, 68.05. See this one, Moose?
Yeah, well, yes, I was there.
Cheering our boy on?
Yeah, I got out at the halfway. So it's a lap course, but it's almost it's a figure eight too. So you actually see them. You get to see them multiple times per lap. So it's really good for viewing. And so they came through as a pack. Toby looked like he started to push off the front a little bit, or trying to, at about, that would have been about the 13k mark, 14k mark. And but then he had cramps in his glute, so he couldn't go up the hill very well. So Will put a bit of time into him up the hill, but Toby managed to catch him at the bottom of the downhill and then kicked home. So that was him. He was pretty happy with himself, fucking fluffing around the marquee, trying to let people know he did so well all morning.
Pretty good off limited training.
Yeah, well, he's doing
this
experimental stuff 4 times a week running and on the bike a lot. He has some talent, that guy. Like, I've seen what he's doing training-wise, and yeah, he might bike a bit, but to be able to pull stuff like that off the running he's doing is it's pretty impressive.
Freak Junior. Rachel McGuinness, also a friend of the show, rode to Osaka with you a couple of years ago, Moose. Was that last year? This time last year? She won in 80 minutes and 8 seconds. Alexander McNaughton second, 84.14, and Emma Ward was third in 86.07. Good to see Rachel McGuinness returns to running after a couple of injuries.
Yeah, no, it was good. She's strung together some great weeks lately, like really high not pretty high mileage, but she's healthy. So she's handling a high volume training. She's building herself a great base, a great year, hopefully, where she can springboard off this. And yeah, she's going to be doing Ballarat as well. So right about transition time into marathon stuff.
Good. Those results are brought to you by Axel Coffee. Don't forget to use the code IRP20 for 20% off your first order online. And if you love the classic flat white, their seasonal blend is a must try. Now, boys, it's hour 50. I only just finished running news. Can we go Moose on the Loose listener question? And that's it. I'll leave whispers till next week because I've got a few talking points here. Just before I do though, can we just acknowledge how good they've been lately? Tim Vincent to ASICS last week, announcement, you would have seen that. National cross country to Ballarat for 3 years. Remember a month ago when I told you about that? Tick for that one.
No, I don't remember.
I told you. You were trying to guess what the regional town was. Nat Rule trained with the On Group. Take that one to the bank as well, boys.
I reckon I picked Ballarat then. I do remember now.
I didn't confirm it because I didn't want to get in big trouble. But yeah, you were saying like Geelong, Ballarat is Bendigo. Anyway, it's Ballarat 3 years in a row. Moose, what do you got? Let's bring this show home.
What have I got? Yeah, what do I have? Let me go. Oh, yeah. So I have probably talked about this in the past, or I've definitely brought it up, that I respect the discipline of someone who trains for a marathon and runs it. And I just don't have a ton of respect for someone who rocks up and runs a marathon and brags about how well they did it or that they completed it or finished it. But I just thought this isn't like an angry thing, but have a listen to this on the weekend. So a lady comes up to me at Saturday Arvo at the tent. She's sort of looking at the gels, kind of confused, like, because they are weird looking things. If you've never seen them before, you wouldn't have any idea what they are. They're all these different colors and stuff. And she goes, "Oh, what's the go with this?" I said, "Oh, energy gels, like, so you take them when you're in the marathon because you're going to start depleting after about 90 minutes or so. So you want to stay ahead of that depletion curve and supplement your sugars, all this sort of stuff." And she goes, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, I don't think I said, "Oh, so are they for yourself or for someone?" And she's like, "Nah, my son." She's like, "He's a fucking idiot." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Yep, 17 years old. Furthest he's ever run, 7 kilometres. And he did that in November last year. Playing cricket today. He's out in the field from like 12:30 to 5 p.m. Like not eating, not drinking, in the like wind and the shit fight of the day that it was out in country Victoria somewhere." She goes, "Yeah, he's 17 years old, 6'4". He signed up for the marathon just because his mate said he couldn't do it." I'm like, holy shit. All of those factors, never taken a gel in his life, didn't know what to eat or drink or anything. All of those factors combined, I was thinking, there's a real risk here, like a proper risk to this kid's life. Going in, coming off a day on the field. You blokes play cricket ever?
Yeah,
back in the day, yeah.
You remember how fucked you were coming off of the field on a Saturday
the whole day.
Oh, that is so hard on the body. And I remember she had her bib in her hand. I sold her a couple of gels. I said, "Oh, tell him to take as much as he can, but maybe at the minimum 1 an hour." So she bought 3 gels, and I thought, "Oh, you're probably going to need more than that." So I saw the name of the bib, and then I remembered, I'm like, that's the first person I'm checking the results for later. I looked it up. I'm like, exactly how I thought it would go, but the bloke finished it. So I won't say names or exact times or anything, but he's gone through in around about 2 hours for the first half, and the second half over 3 hours. He's basically dead last in the entire event. But shit, he's got it done, and he did it for a $50 bet with his mate.
Sounds like how Chriso got into running, wasn't it? His dad bet him that he couldn't do it for a TV.
That's a TV. But this guy, and then the thing was, she goes, yeah. Then so he's gonna. It depends what time he finishes, but then he has to go straight to work after it. Could you imagine running over 5 hours for this marathon that you've never trained for and you don't know what you're eating and drinking, straight to work?
I reckon that's common in these small towns when an event comes to town, Moose. It's like they're just, because they've got no concept of distance or what a running event. They're like, oh, there's an event in town, I'm going to sign up for that. I'll get through it.
Yeah. And
how hard can a marathon be?
Yeah.
I can run a half in 56 minutes.
Part of me respects it, but part of me hates the disrespect for it.
Yeah.
I respect what he's done to get through it. Once he's out there, I could only imagine how much he hated every step of that run.
Yeah. That's what I hate about it is they then go and give running a bad name, going, oh, why would you want to do that? Like, that's not fun at all. I'm like, well, yeah, it's not fun because you haven't prepared for it.
And back in the day, when I was running a bit more than I am now, if you said, oh, yeah, go to a marathon on the weekend, I'm like, oh, nah, I'm only doing 30K this weekend. I'm not doing that. That sounds awful. I don't reckon I could do that. And now I run this how much that I do, which is the same amount as this kid runs. And if someone told me I was running a marathon the weekend, physically that would not happen. I couldn't possibly physically do that. But I guess what you don't know is it won't hurt you until it actually did hurt him. And I wish I saw him cross the line, but I think we were packed up by then.
Halfway home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, entertaining. Croaks, listener question. Let's bring it home.
Yeah, so this episode's listener question is proudly brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. Take your nutrition to the next level. Check out the link in the show notes for their free online planner to nail your fueling and hydration strategy, or even book a one-on-one consultation. Visit precisionhydration.com. And the question comes in from Reese Gregory. If I do 95% of my running on trails, including hills, will that put me at a disadvantage for being able to handle the pounding pavement of a road marathon? Secondly, how much do shoes impact these scenarios?
This was a big thing with, remember when Craig Mottram stepped up to the marathon? I reckon he come out afterwards and said he was doing too many of his long runs down at Fernie on the trails. Wasn't doing enough pounding on the road.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I can't remember that. I remember Jason Woolhouse. That's a blast from the past, a throwback. He went and did Auckland Marathon, and he got banged up quads, and so he might not have finished it, or he had a shocker anyway. And then he came out the next week. He thought it was because he just did too much stuff on the trails, and so he went out and he ran 3 hard road, smashed out hard road long runs immediately after and got injured. But yeah, you guys go first, and I got my own idea on it.
All right. So yeah, I don't think it impacts. I would still choose 95% of my running on trails going over hills, because even in a marathon block, you're still going to do some stuff on the road. If you're training for a flat marathon, your longer marathon sessions should be on the road anyway. And I think just running on the trails, going up over hills, is going to condition your legs plenty. I do personally think shoe technology probably helps a little bit more these days in terms of, I don't think your legs end up as banged up as what they used to in a really minimal pair of racing flats. So look, I'd still stick to the trails, because the risk of flipping it around and doing 95% on the bitumen and 5% on the trails is, I reckon I would get injured doing it. My body would just be so banged up all the time.
Yeah, I think you'd see it. If you do some of your bigger marathon workouts on the road, and it's if you're getting really banged up it's always hard to know what people are doing. But if it's, a longer 15K worth of work on the roads, or 20K, and that's really banging you up, or hey, 42K is going to absolutely cook you then. And maybe you've got to spend a bit more time on the roads trying to get that specific pounding practice.
Yeah, I do think you need it. Like I think you do need that. It's a different type of hammering of the legs, but I don't think you need to do it every week or every run. And maybe it is that you run on trails 6 days a week and then you do your long run on a road, or maybe you do a few workouts like Croak said, longer stuff on the road during the week and you run the long run on trails, or maybe you do 35K on the trails and then come down and run the last 5K on the road for one of your long runs. The extended time on the road's probably what you need, and you might only need 2 or 3 of them through the previous 12 weeks for that conditioning to occur. But I would get on the road if the race is going to be on a hard road for sure.
It's a good way to practice your rhythm and even like your mind, because it's kind of boring on a road. You've just got to lock in, same rhythm. You're not kind of getting different, activations from rock hopping or going up and down some more hills and stuff. Like actually, it's quite mentally challenging when you got a straight road for 20 or 25K in some of those workouts because it's boring as batshit.
Yeah, it is boring. I love the trails because every corner brings something different.
Yeah,
it's so much easier to get a long run done.
That's a good question.
Thoughts on shoes, Moose? Do you reckon though that like compared to 20 years ago, you can probably like your legs probably just don't get as banged up in a marathon as what they used to?
It's funny, everyone says that, but I've only felt the same. I just feel it at different spots. My calves used to be way more cooked than they are these days. But even then after that, even after Melbourne, my calves were cooked still. Like I haven't had any type of improvement in DOMs after a marathon with the new shoes.
Yeah.
Like I get that they should do that, and everyone sort of uses that as a bit of a sort of supposed benefit of them, but not for me. Like I don't get that at all. I reckon the track stuff, the really hard, fast stuff, is where I get the most benefit because the calves just do way less, and that's where it helps me. But I still got the same old quad DOMs with a pair of super shoes.
I've got this little theory as well that if you negative split a race or even split a race, you generally pull up better than a positive split in terms of like my body's always way more banged up if I've leaked time in the second half versus actually like nailing that marathon.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration, Brady's relied on their products like the resealable 90-gram gel for his long runs, and plenty of elite athletes trust them too, including Olympians and ultra runners. Visit precisionhydration.com and use the code INSIDERUN2025 for 15% off your first order.
What's coming up, boys? Albie Thomas Miles going to happen.
Thursday night, Albie Thomas.
Live stream?
I'm not sure.
You see have been doing that recently, have they?
They have a setup now where they have live results and the video of every race is available like 5 minutes later.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's still pretty good. What are you doing, Moose, between now and next week?
Yes, back at work.
Okay, salad shoes. Croaks?
Yep.
A couple of sessions. Might head out to the track Saturday. ACT 5K champs are on. Got a few people going around there. That's about it.
I've got a triple header, boys. Monthly tomorrow night. Road to Ballarat Wednesday night.
Oof.
Pray for me.
I thought isn't Ballarat it's every second week?
Oh, nothing. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is. It's every second week.
Oh, so I don't have to do it this week.
No.
Some weeks it's 2 weeks in a row, though, isn't it?
This
is a conversation we could clearly have off air.
It's like an 8-week series. It's eight or 9 episodes. So it's every 2 weeks.
Okay, the boss has got me organised anyway. He's got guests all lined up. I just got to go on there and host it. Oh, that makes me feel better. I don't have a triple header, Croaks. 2 nights. Spend some time with my family. Do it all again next week, boys. That was episode 281. See you later.
See ya.
See ya. Oh, we forgot to say that the singlets have arrived. They're getting shipped tomorrow.
I'm still recording. If you ordered a singlet, get one.
Oh, yeah.
It's on its way.
Yeah. So actually,
can we just apologise on behalf of Croaks' signature as well, people. Just before you open your box, you get your Ernie Old Inside Running Podcast special singlet. You're going to get it out. You're going to be blown away by the quality of the singlet, and then you're going to be really disappointed with the effort Bradley Croker put in to sign the poster that come with it.
Actually,
so apologies. As a
I
CEO of
disagree.
Inside Running Podcast, I apologise on behalf of Bradley Croker.
I actually put in more effort than Julian because at least you know it's me because I've written my name on it. I look at Julian's squiggle. I'm like, who the hell's that?
It's got an autograph, mate. You've never actually had to sign one by the sounds of it.
I thought you got Russell the Pug to do yours, Croaks.
Yeah, you got the kids at school to do it. Like
I had Lily doing it. Got a photo of Lily out there doing them.
Oh, yeah.
Thing we'll sign.
Do you know what? If you missed out on it, we're going to have them for sale, actually.
In the store.
Yeah, the running company. So there's still a chance for you to get on them.
I feel like now that people will see them in person and see them on
Actually
social media.
come up real well. You've seen it, like the colour and everything.
I picked the design. I picked it. I know what I'm doing.
Do you buy one yourself?
Contract. Lululemon. Can't wear one. But can I get one if my contract ever stops? I can't.
Have a listen to that.
I can't wear one. I've got to compete and train in Lululemon gear.
Podcast. You own the podcast.
Yeah, but Lululemon own me, mate. It's just this circle that goes around.
Hey.
I got their they sent me all their winter gear the other day, actually. It's some good stuff coming through.
No, we're talking about podcast singlets, mate.
Thought you might send me a little Lulu gift after I plugged them on Road to Ballarat last week. The tights.
You know what you did do well there, Croaks? You opened the door for Canberra Marathon to get in contact. Because I sent my inquiry into Ballarat about I'm interested to race. They said this is what we can offer you. And then Canberra obviously heard you saying that Brady could be up in the air about Ballarat. Got in contact as well. So there could be something.
What's the offer look like? What's the offer on the table?
Let's just say I might inquire about Wollongong as well on the same weekend just to see if I can get 3 balls in the air. Three races.
If you do Canberra, I want a cut.
Be good. Well, winning a race is important to me, Croaks. You know, winning.
I won't be in town that weekend, actually.
You're going to Ballarat?
No, they're different weekends.
Oh, yeah, it's like 2 weeks earlier than Ballarat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Anyway, the show's still going, but we're stopping it now. See you next week, boys.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks to the 2025 Buffalo Stampede Festival by Single Track Events for sponsoring this week's episode. Don't forget to use the promo code INSIDERUNNING10 for a 10% discount off a race entry and your chance to win one of 3 pairs of ASICS shoes. Sign up now at www.buffalostampede.au.
And I'm gonna hold my head up high. I was told as a young man, doesn't matter if you're white or black. Just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it don't come back.